Hello, today's film is number 4 on the American Film Institute's list of the top 100 films of all time, Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind is a 1939 Civil War epic based on Margaret Mitchell's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel Gone with the Wind. That was written in 1936. This film has remained one of the most popular films of all time. At its original run, it made $400 million in 1939. If you would adjust that for inflation as of 2010, that is $2,984,000,000. It is a huge, sweeping epic. It's the kind of film that doesn't get made anymore. This is a film that is sort of an example of the golden age of Hollywood. It won 10 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actress Vivian Leigh. It is the story of a woman who many of us are familiar with, even if we haven't seen the film, named Scarlett O'Hara. Scarlett is a Southern belle who's very much concerned about money and status and lives sort of in a carefree world. The carefree world of the Old South. Everyone in the Old South at the beginning of the movie is anticipating war with the North, and they want it. It's very jingoistic. They want to go to war. They want to fight. They feel that they are gentlemen and that the Yankees are the rebellious, troublesome folk. And so when the announcement of war is made, there's a lot of fanfare and people running around screaming as happy as can be. This is interesting, I think, because it does demonstrate that feeling which is felt by many people in the South during the war. Along comes several important characters into this story. Rhett Butler being the most famous of them. Is somewhat of a scallywag. He doesn't go with the norm. He's kind of a rogue. And he comes on the scene in the film as a little bit different than the other people. He doesn't have the same mentality as the Southerners. He comes on the scene and he's kind of Clark Gable is wonderful in this role. Because he just exudes ego. Well, how the film's plot works is there's actually a lot of crazy things going on. So Scarlett is attracted to a man named Ashley Wilkes. Ashley Wilkes sort of represents played by Leslie Howard, he represents the gentleman of the South. He represents the future that the South is hoping for. Rhett Butler, being somewhat of a rebel, to me represents the Yankee influence on the South. The turbulent relationship, which eventually forms between Scarlett O'Hara and Rhett Butler, to me is a reflection of the feelings between the South and the North after the war. In many ways, to me, the film is a parable of the Reconstruction era. Ashley Wilkes represents the future that the South longs for. Rhett Butler represents the future that the South gets. It is a very long film. It's nearly 4 hours long, and a lot of things happen. I don't want to give too much away because this is a film that I would highly recommend as one of the greatest films ever made. The acting is top-notch. The production values are incredible. The score is one of the most famous parts of the film. Really adds to that feeling. This is I call it saturated Technicolor. The images of color are so very vivid and very bright. This is made in the same year that The Wizard of Oz was made. So it has that same sort of oversaturated look to the color, but I think it adds to the brilliance of the film. Now, in terms of how the film translates to a modern audience, one might call its views of women or of black people to be a bit old-fashioned, and They are. One of the controversies that goes along with this film is the portrayal of black characters. Hattie McDaniel, who won an Oscar for her role as Mammy, is a character who is sort of a stereotype. In terms of her acting is amazing. Yes, it doesn't translate well to a modern audience in terms of racial politics, but I think it's an example of how people felt back then. And it serves to remind us that those feelings once did exist, and we can't pretend that they didn't. In terms of the relationship between men and women as portrayed in the film, it's very much an old-fashioned view. Women are seen as panicky and gossipy, and men are seen as they're supposed to be tough and downright rude sometimes. But I think it serves as a great example of what the feelings were in this country at the time the film was made and the time in which the film was set. It is a very good film. It is a classic example of the golden age of Hollywood, a time when they made movies that they really don't make anymore. I have the feeling that I think the epic film needs to come back because it's something that we've lost. This film is a political allegory, and I think it serves very well to illustrate the problems that the South dealt with after the Civil War. The music is top-notch, the direction is incredible. This is a film that if you haven't seen, I would highly recommend it. It's a film that we hear about a lot. We hear it get referenced. So it's nice to go back and watch the film and actually see where do all these things that people have ripped off from the film or paid homage to, where they come from originally. And that's my review of this film. Thank you.